सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। गलद्दान गंडम मिलभृंग खंडम चलच्चारुषुंडम जगत्राण शौंडम लसद्दंत कांडम विपभ्रंग चंडम शिव प्रेम पिंडम भजे वक्रतुंडम। अहं निर्विकल्पो निराकार रूपो विभुर्वाप्य सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणां सदा मे समत्वं न मुक्तिर्न बन्धः चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरा गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। तर आपल्याला माहित असल्याप्रमाणे आपली द कॉन्शियसनेस ही मालिका सुरू आहे आणि या मालिकेचे वक्ते आहेत डॉक्टर विनोद देशमुख. मी त्यांना विनोद काका म्हणत असते आणि मी आता काकांना विनंती करते की त्यांनी आपल्या आजच्या तिसऱ्या सत्राला सुरुवात करावी. काका.
Okay. I should share the आता दिसतंय ना?
दिसतंय.
Okay, good.
आणि मागच्या वेळेसारखा काका हे प्रेझेंटेशन मोड मध्ये घ्या.
ठीक है?
हो
Okay.
ठीक आहे.
So today's topic is very interesting, mainly about the Vedic insights and understanding of Vedic rishis and their profound experiences and profound insight all the way up to the ground up for individual being as well as the whole universe, Atman and Brahman. And in the Vedic literature, of course, is profound and vast. But somehow there are four statements that kind of most people highlight. They are called the four Mahavakyas or aphorisms. But in the recent literature, the four have become five. One has been added to it. So we have now five Upanishadic aphorisms or words of wisdom. I think one of the best reference for this topic is by Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, his book on the principal Upanishads. And he wrote an amazing introduction to Upanishads. It's about 130 pages introduction to Upanishads. And he discussed various interesting topics related to that. Starting with the individual self or the ego, we all have that and we feel that. Maybe I should minimize this. Yes. So he defined jiva is literally that which breathes. The verb jiv means to breathe. And it is the biophysical aspect of human nature in waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. It is also called Purusha. Purusha means Puri Ashaya, or Puri Shaya. That means one who dwells in the citadel of the heart. It is also called the soul or the psyche. She is the doer and the experiencer of life. And modern psychology is called ego. Ego is a stream of the relative world of experience. The ground of this whole fluid structure is the ocean of self-aware being, or Atman Brahman. Ego is the unity of body, life, mind, and intelligence. And memory is an important factor that preserves the continuity of the ego. Mostly it is our own memory. It's amazing how memory is so powerful. Memory of our own body, memory of our own face, memory of our own name. All these are maintained and renewed almost daily. When we wake up in the morning, we reorient ourselves to our own identity and our own place of dwelling. So, this reorientation is a very crucial process in the brain, and it all depends on the memory. Memory is, of course, good and sometimes not so good. Memory, of course, you need to communicate and speak and language and all that, and technical memory, of course. But you don't want to get overwhelmed by the negative memory, negative thoughts, and that kind of hampers our progress. But memory is an important factor for the continuity of the sense of ego. Ego is an ounce or a fragment of the divine mind. Behind the flux, there is the stable power of our being through which the infinite spirit manifests itself. The individual ego is subject to avidya or self-ignorance or misconception, and therefore suffering. The result of this separatist ego sense, ahankar, is failure to enter into harmony and unity with the universe. Selfish desires and mental discord are subject to bondage and suffering. Now, there are two types of knowing. One is called vidya, and the other is avidya. Vidya is insightful knowing. It is also called aparoksha buddhi or aparoksha jnana. And avidya is analytical knowledge. Analytical knowledge is based on memory and facts, whereas vidya is insight, immediate, as distinct from analytical knowledge. Insight overcomes the distinction between the knower and the known. They become integral nodes of a live energy informational network or a loop. We perceive things as it is. Just as when I listen to the Northern Cardinal singing his song and I'm videotaping it, I'm totally absorbed or immersed in that experience. And it becomes a live informational loop. The Cardinal is producing the song, I hear it, I see it, I record it, and this loop of informational circuit or network or loop continues. But I have no sense of an ego or a separateness from this whole process of knowing. That is what I call the live information, live presence. And we see things as they are, as it is happening. Same thing, watching a woodpecker tap on the dead wood is amazing. And I videotaped that and I forget myself in the whole process. It's a beautiful, amazing, natural experience. We perceive things as it is. Insight is unveiled rather than acquired. We become new at the known from within. We become new at the dawn of vision of the Absolute. It is a live unity of human and divine. All is known from within. Everything happens from within. The self is at its own light. Atmaiva asya jyotirbhavati. Yajnavalkya said that. Brahmavid Brahmaiva bhavati. One who knows or understands Atman or Brahman becomes Atman or Brahman itself. Then only you can truly understand what that state of being is, what it feels like to be Atman, what it feels like to be Brahman. One of the descriptions of Brahman is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Another interesting statement is that the real is not attained by force of intellect or effort or much learning or reading books, but is revealed to the aspirant whose will is at rest in him. We realize the divine by the clarity of illumination. Jnana prasadena. Prasad is like the grace. So it's a spontaneous, effortless understanding. It's more like a realizing or recognition of what is already there, what is ever present. Now, what is ultimate reality or the Atman? The word Atman is derived from an, means to breathe. It is the breath of life. Gradually, its meaning was extended to cover life, soul, psyche, self, or essential being of the individual. The root meaning of Atman also implies to obtain, to eat, to enjoy, to pervade all. Atman pervades his being, breath, prana and intellect, prajna, and transcends them. Atman is what remains when everything that is not the self is eliminated. Rigveda describes Atman as the unborn or ajo bhagaha. Aja means not born, or so ajo bhagaha, or so an immortal element in humans, because Atman is something that wasn't born and that will not die. That's how it is. But we need to realize the fact of it, the truth of it. Because we are so preoccupied with our ahankar, our desires, our unresolved emotions and conflicts. Atman is not to be confused with body, life, mind, and intellect. These are not the self, but its forms, its external expressions. Our true self is pure existence, self-aware and unconditioned. Atman is the fundamental reality underlying the conscious powers of the individual, the inward ground of the human psyche. Atman is the super reality of the jiva, the individual ego. Self is life, not an object. Atman is never an object. It is always the self. It is always the subject, the witness, consciousness. It is an experience in which the self is the knowing subject and is at the same time the known object. Self is open only to self. Self is the light of lights. It is perpetual, abiding light. It is that which never lives nor dies. Self is the constant witness consciousness or the Sakshi Bhav. Ultimate reality, Brahman, one supreme reality is the Brahman. Everything that exists is Brahman. It is derived from the root bruha, means to burst or to gush forth or to bubble over. It also means eternity, pristine, it's ever fresh, ever new. It is the guiding spirit, the creative principle of the universe. In our inspired moments, we have the feeling that there is a greater reality within us, though we cannot tell what it is. Brahman is the source of all beings, the intellectual principle, the perceiving mind, life and body. It is the principle that unifies the world and its experience. The Supreme is the light of lights, Jyotisham Jyoti. Its essential nature, Swarupa, is said to be Satchidananda. Sat means existence or being, Chit is consciousness or awareness, and Ananda is bliss. It means a blissful conscious being. And Brahman is both transcendent as well as immanent. They are two aspects of the same reality. Nirguna Guni. This is very interesting, the way this is described. The cosmic waters are initially at rest and so free of waves and forms. The first movement, a stir or a disturbance, creates patterns and forms and is the seed of the universe. The play of the two is the life of the universe. Brahman as Atman. Atman is the principle of the individual conscious being, and Brahman is the supra-personal ground of existence itself. Brahman is known through Atman, the inner self. The divine being is not merely the transcendent numinous personality, but is also the universal spirit, which is the basis of human personality and its ever-renewing, vitalizing power. This is a fascinating section called Life Eternal. How life is pristine, ever new, ever fresh. It's like a freshwater spring or a life-giving fountain. The fact that the individual consciousness has for its essential reality universal self implies the possibility that every human being can rend the veil of separateness and gain recognition of his true nature and oneness with all beings. He who knows Brahman becomes Brahman. Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. Perfection is a state of mind not contingent on change of place or time. It is an experience of the present. This is a beautiful statement that Atman, Brahman, is an experience of the present, is ever present, is always there. Only we need to wake up to that. We need to have that profound passion and insight to communicate with that, to understand that, to recognize that, to realize it. It is ever present, it is always there. When all desires in the human heart are cast away, then a mortal becomes immortal. And here, even here, he attains Brahman. Freedom is a life in spirit, the divine being, who is the foundation and power of life. This last paragraph is very interesting. There are 4 stages or aspects of self-freedom or moksha. The first one is samipya. Samipya means you feel close to the divine, you feel intimacy with the divine or with nature. Sarupya means you feel a similarity between nature with the divine reflecting his glory or beauty. Salokya means it's a coexistence. You exist with the divine simultaneously. And finally, Sayujya means you totally commune with the divine or immerse with the divine, and there is almost an identity with the divine. Then somebody can say, I am divine, Aham Brahmasmi, Aham Atma. Like Shri Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Atma Gudakesha. So, now these 5 Mahavakyas, Vakya means a sentence, Maha means great saying or great sentence. The first one is Tattvamasi. It is traditionally interpreted as that thou art. This is from Chandogya Upanishad. And the Sat means, of course, the existence, all that exists. And you are that. This is how you are, referring to the very nature of all existence as permeated by life itself, life, consciousness. The second one is Aham Brahmasmi. I am divine, I am Brahman. This is from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. And then Prajnanam Brahma, this was the fifth one that was added to the original four Mahavakyas. Prajnanam means consciousness, pure consciousness, non-dual awareness, pure awareness, or the live presence, holistic presence, pristine presence, calm and loving presence. That is Prajnanam. And Prajnanam Brahma. So it's always there. If we wake up to it, if we stay totally aware, attentive, and wholeheartedly present in the moment. Ayam Atma Brahma is from Mandukya Upanishad. And then Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma is from Chandogya Upanishad. All this indeed is Brahman. Prajnanam is akin to the live holistic presence, the knowing process itself. So it's like a loop of knowing, a process of knowing in which the knower and the known become part of the same process. So there is no separation or gap between knower and the known. It completes the subject-object loop of life, energy, information, and being. Tattvamasi, main article in Chandogya Upanishad. And this was a dialogue between Uddalaka and his son Shvetaketu. Briefly, Uddalaka tells his son Shvetaketu, in the beginning, son, this world was simply what is existent, one only without a second. And it thought to itself, let me become many. Ekoham bahusyam. I am alone, I am one. I want to become many, take many forms, and flourish. Let me become many. Let me propagate myself. It cannot be without a root or a source. So the existence itself is the source. And the existence, my son, is the root of these creatures. The existence is their resting place. The existence is their foundation. The finest essence here that constitutes the self, this whole world. That is the truth. That is the self, Atman. And that's how you are, Shvetaketu. There, of course, have been many interpretations. There are at least 6 different interpretations of this profound statement, Tattvamasi. What is Tat? What is Tvam? What is Asi? Each word has been analyzed and dissected and interpreted, and different philosophers feel comfortable with one interpretation and not the other. For instance, Advaita Vedanta says absolute equality of Tat, the ultimate reality, Brahman, and Tvam, the self or the Atman. Shuddha Advaita says oneness in essence between Tat and the individual self, but Tat is the whole and self is a part. So wholeness and the part. Vishishta Advaita says Tvam denotes the Jiva Antaryami Brahman, while Tat refers to Jagat Karana Brahman. Dvaita Advaita says equal non-difference and difference between individual self as part of the whole, which is Tat. That Dvaita of Madhvacharya, Tattvamasi is read as Atatvamasi, meaning that Paramatma is the essence of all. You are not him. Completely opposite statement. Atma self, thou art, but thou art not God. You are not God. So there are many interesting comments and debates. Achintya Bheda Abheda means inconceivable oneness and difference between individual self as part of the whole, which is Tat. Brahmasmi, this is again from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. But it's a very advanced state to be able to say that. And to be able to say that authentically, genuinely, from the depth of your heart is not easy. And in that state, you're so completely silent and in mauna and in profound peace that there are no words to even say all that. ज्ञानेश्वर म्हणतात त्यांची एक ओवी आहे की म्हणून माझी वैखरी मौनाचेही मौन करी जे पाण्यावरी मकरी रेखिलिया म्हणजे त्या स्थितीत माझं मौनाचंही मौन होतं. तिथे शब्दच राहत नाहीत. आणि जे काही शब्द असतील ती पाण्यावर जशी आपण एखादी माशाचं चित्र काढावं आणि ते जसं पटकन पाण्यात पुन्हा जातं तसंच त्यांच्या मनाची स्थिती असते. कुठलाही विचार आला की तो लगेच पुन्हा शांत स्थितीत स्थितप्रज्ञेत पूर्ण होतो. Prajnanam Brahma is from Aitariya Upanishad. It is a part of the Rig Veda, and Prajnanam has been interpreted in this Aitariya Upanishad as consciousness or the awareness that becomes, that knows through all the senses, like eye, ear, nose, touch, taste, all that. And also the body itself, living body, you learn about it. There are two circles, what I call the two loops. One is the external loop with the exteroceptive senses, outside world. And then there is the interoceptive, that means the inner world. That means you sense your own body, your heart, breathing, lungs, your stomach, muscles, all that you feel, all the gut feeling, the visceral sensation, all that is called interoception. And then, of course, there is a whole lot of memory and inner speech, inner voice, and memory of the inner face. So all that adds up to our knowledge. And unfortunately, we don't get the big picture, the whole picture, the holistic awareness. In complete presence, there is a holistic awareness, and that is truly Prajnanam. I am Atma Brahma is from Mandukya Upanishad. And in this, of course, Om is taken as a pratik or symbol of Atman. And in that, he talks about not only Uma represents the three phases of time, but also the silence that is beyond time, the profound silence, which is indescribable, ineffable. And the last one is Sarvam Khaluidam Brahma, Tad Jalaniti Shanta Upasita, Atha Khalu Kratumeha Purusha, Yatha Kratusmi Loke, Purusho Bhavati, Tatheta Pretya Bhavati, Sakratum Kurvito. All this is Brahman. Everything comes from Brahman. Everything goes back to Brahman. And everything is sustained by Brahman. One should therefore quietly meditate on Brahman. Each person has a mind of his own. What a person wills in his present life, he becomes when he leaves this world. One should bear this in mind and meditate accordingly. This is from Chandogya Upanishad. Adi Shankaracharya, in his book on Aparokshanubhuti, he tried to describe the Nirguna Nirakara Sthiti and it's very, of course, you cannot describe it in positive words. So you will notice in this, he has taken so many negative words, like Brahmaivaham Samashantaha, Satchidananda Lakshana. Arthat, these are positive. Ki I am Brahman, Samaha Shantaha, I am peaceful, Satchidananda Lakshana, I am blissful conscious being. And then he goes on to all the negative terms like nirvikaraha, nirakaraha, nirvadyaha, amavyaha, niramayo, nirabhaso, nirvikalpo, amatataha, nirguno, nishkriyo, nityo, nityamukto, achyutaha, nirmalo, nishchalo, ananta, shuddho, ajaro maraha. And Shouti, he says, Naham deho hi asadrupo jnanam iti uchyate buddhi. He realized that I am not limited by this body, mind and ego. Because those are mainly representative or reconstructed memories, reconstructed thoughts. That's not the reality. The reality is the fully present awareness, the non-dual awareness, or the live presence that is in commune with everything that exists. I am truly the absolute energy being awareness, which is equanimous, serene, existential, conscious, blissful, non-changing, unformed, flawless, non-dissipating, healthy, non-symbolic, non-wavering, pervasive, attributeless, restful, enduring, steady, and pure. So he goes on to describing this Nirguna Nirakara Sthiti. One of the good description by Adi Shankaracharya about this Brahman is in Viveka Chudamani. This is Shloka 513. Sarvadharam sarvavastu prakasham sarvakaram sarvagam sarvashunyam nityam shuddham nishchalam nirvikalpam brahmadvaitam yad devaham asmi. I am verily that Brahman, the one without a second, which is the support of all, which illumines all things, which has infinite forms. It is omnipresent, devoid of multiplicity, eternal, pure, unmoved, and absolute. This is from Bhagavad Gita, and the interesting point is everything is Brahman. And he takes an example of Yajna. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavi, Brahmagno Brahmana Hutam, Brahmaivatena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. The dynamic existential cosmic process is Brahman. The energy, matter, information, or the fuel offered to the sacred fire in the devotional worship of Yajna is Brahman. The person or the agent making the devotional offering is Brahman. The sacred fire, the transformative energy is Brahman. One who realizes this holistic cosmic process realizes Brahman itself. So how this whole knowing process becomes a single loop, dynamic loop of energy, information, and the conscious being. This is one of my favorite. Adi Shankaracharya says, Atma tu satatam praptaha, api apraptavad avidyaya, tannashe praptavad bhati, swakanthabharanam yatha. Atman is an ever-present reality. Yet because of ignorance, it is not realized. On the destruction of ignorance, Atman is realized. It is like finding the missing ornament which is on your neck. Like you have been looking for your lost necklace and it happens to be on your own neck. This is from Subodha Panchadashi. This is another of my favorite. One of the profound understanding in this is that the total energy remains the same. That is the first law of thermodynamics. But the form of energy changes. Energy can take many different forms. And this is beautifully described in this. It says the wind has vibrational sound energy. A rock has the potential energy of inertia. Water has energy of fluidity. Fire has heat energy. Sky has the energy of empty space or vacuum. Destruction, creation has transformative or dissipative energy. Just as the embryo of even a huge python is contained in a tiny egg, the whole experiential world is contained within me, the Atman. Just as a tiny seed potentially contains a giant fig tree with fruits, leaves, vines, flowers, branches, and roots, similarly, all this existence is contained in Brahman. This is a beautiful statement. Once we remember this, we should have an understanding. And the preciousness of our living body, mind, self, and the world that we experience. Deho devaleha proktaha, jivo devas sanatanaha, tejeta adnyana nirmalyam, soham bhavena pujay. The living body is the temple. Jiva, the soul or the psyche, is the primordial deity. Let go of yesterday's flowers or the memories of yesterday's events, of self-ignorance, and now worship the supreme deity within, that is present within you at this moment, here and now. And I want to finish the talk by one of this, my favorite shlokas I used to recite in the high school while doing homework. Because Sanskrit is a beautiful language and it sounds beautiful. Tadejati tannaijati taddure tadvantike tadantarasya sarvasya tadu sarvasyasya bhayyata. This shloka is from Ishavasyopanishad. And the point is, the ultimate truth about Atman Brahman cannot be really described, cannot be specified. It's a matter of experience. You have to feel it in your own heart, in your being. Then you will know what it feels like to be Atman, what it feels like to be Brahman. And here it says, it moves and it moves not. It is far and it is near. It is within all this and it is also outside all this. So many times in Vedanta, the answer is always yes and no. If you listen to Sarva Priyananda, he is a great scholar and an orator on Vedanta nowadays. He also gets into science and neuroscience sometimes. But he always says many of the questions in Vedanta you have to say yes and no because it depends on your own perspective. And that is very true. Like Raman Maharshi always used to ask his visitors, who are you? That's such a profound question. It baffles you. It's not easy to answer such a question. But Raman Maharshi was a great sage and he had great insights. This is kind of summary of his philosophy of existence and what he calls the heart. What he means by heart is really the heart in the nervous system, in the reticular activating system, the limbic system, from which we have the conscious arousal, awareness, attention, and feeling, emotions, all that. And then the cortex has memories, and then cortex shapes our experience. So arousal is non-specific. It's like the electrical current that then becomes either a fan or a light or whatever circuit in the cortex and becomes the content of our consciousness. Raman Maharshi says, Hridaya kuhar madhye kevalam brahma matram hi aham iti sakshat atma rupena bhati hridi visha manasa swam chinvata majjata va pavana chalana rodhat atmanishto bhavatvam. Within the sanctum of the heart, Brahman alone exists. I feeling pulsates and shines as the Atman itself. Enter your heart yourself by self-inquiry or ego mergence, by quieting breathing and meditation. Abide blissfully in your true being, the self, the Atman and Brahman. Thank you for listening. Thank you very much.
वा. खूप खूप धन्यवाद विनोद काका. अतिशय छान आणि काय म्हणतात एकदम फ्लो मध्ये तुम्ही सगळं छान अगदी मस्त भाषेचा त्याला कुठलाच अडसर नव्हता. खूप छान तुम्ही सांगितलं. बऱ्याच गोष्टी अशा काही ऐकल्यासारख्या वाटल्या, काही नवीन होत्या माझ्यासाठी. म्हणजे पंचदशी ऐकलंय बा, विवेक सिंधू ऐकलं आहे, अगदीच नवीन शब्द नाही असे काहीतरी 2-4 पॉइंट्स होते. पण नाही, खूपच सुंदर तुम्ही ज्या ज्या सगळ्या श्लोकांचा रेफरन्स दिला, ब्रह्मवाक्यांचा, महावाक्यांचा तुम्ही जो रेफरन्स दिला आणि ते जे छान समजावून सांगितलं ते पुन्हा जोपर्यंत इथे बसलोय तोपर्यंत कळल्यासारखं वाटतं. पण तो तुम्ही शेवटी म्हटले त्याप्रमाणे बोलायचा ऐकायचा विषय नसून अनुभवाचा विषय आहे. तर त्याच नोटवर आपण आज थांबूया आणि आता भजन सेवेकडे वळूया आपण. पुन्हा एकदा देशमुख काका तुमचे खूप खूप आभार. आज असंच थोडस गूढ भजन आहे. नेहमीच असं असतं, जसा विषय असतो त्याला अनुरूप भजन मिळतं असं आमचं कधीच, आम्हाला माहिती नसतं वक्ते काय बोलणार आहेत. त्याच्यामुळे भजन आधी ठरलेलं खूप असं नसतं की या विषयाला अनुसरून असावं. पण नेहमी असं होतं की भजनही तसंच होतं. तर आज आपल्याकडे भजन सेवा देण्यासाठी सौ अमृता कुलकर्णी उपस्थित आहेत आणि ती आज परमपूज्य नारायण महाराजांनी रचलेलं मेरे मन की चिडिया हे भजन म्हणणार आहे. थोडस हठयोगाच्या वर्णनाचं भजन आहे, पण शेवटी सांगणं हेच चालू आहे की मी अबाइड इन युअर सेल्फ, आत्मन ब्रह्मन या ज्या वाक्यावर आज काकांनी एंड केलं आजचं सेशन, त्याच धाग्याला पुढे धरून जाणारं भजन आहे. तर मी अमृताला विनंती करते की तिने आजच्या भजन सेवेला सुरुवात करावी.
एक आभार. तुम्ही शेअर बंद करा म्हणजे.
मेरे मन की चिड़िया उड़ जाएगी, मेरे मन की चिड़िया उड़ जाएगी, मेरे मन की कल्पतरू पर डाली डाली पे, कल्पतरू पर डाली डाली पे गंध सुगंध बहलाई रे, गंध सुगंध बहलाई रे, मेरे मन की मेरे मन की चिड़िया उड़ जा रे, मेरे मन की, मेरे मन की चिड़िया उड़ जा रे, मेरे मन की चिड़िया उड़ जा रे, मेरे मन की, मेरे मन की चिड़िया उड़ जा रे, मेरे मन की, चेतन चंद्रजू चमकत तारा, चेतन चंद्रजू चमकत तारा, प्रेमी के मन छाई रे, प्रेमी के मन छाई रे, मेरे मन की, मेरे मन की चिड़िया उड़ जा रे, मेरे मन की, मेरे मन की चिड़िया उड़ जा रे, मेरे मन की, नारायण कहे प्रेम पीयूख जो, नारायण कहे प्रेम पीयूख जो, प्रीतम पपिया पाई रे, प्रीतम पपिया पाई रे, मेरे मन की, मेरे मन की चिड़िया उड़ जा रे, मेरे मन की, मेरे मन की चिड़िया उड़ जा रे, मेरे मन की, मेरे मन की चिड़िया उड़ जा रे, मेरे मन की चिड़िया उड़ जा रे, मेरे मन की, मेरे मन की चिड़िया उड़ जा रे, मेरे मन की, मेरे मन की, मेरे मन की। श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय श्याम।
वा, खूपच सुंदर. आता जे काकाने सांगितलं की त्या अविद्येचं डिस्ट्रक्शन झालं की कसं आपल्याला कळतं, तसं आहे ते मेरे मन की चिडिया ही ती अविद्या आहे, ती एकदा उडाली की मग सगळं आपल्याला आपल्या अनुभवाच्या जवळ नेणाऱ्या गोष्टी घडतात. वा, अमृता, नेहमीप्रमाणे खूपच सुंदर, खूप भावपूर्ण भजन सेवा झाली. खूप खूप धन्यवाद. आता